This reggae legend died with a shocking secret. What he revealed before his death changes everything. From fishing in poverty to global fame, his rise was unstoppable until the industry turned on him. Stick around. The final minutes expose who betrayed him and why. You won't believe what really happened behind the music. Born Calvin George Scott in Rocky Point, Clarendon Parish, Jamaica, his voice would eventually echo far beyond the emerald hills and golden beaches of his homeland, seeping into the consciousness of people in every corner of the globe. His journey was not carved through privilege or comfort, but rather through the gritty persistence that defines those born into humble circumstances with the audacity to dream. From the earliest days, music pulsed in his veins like lifeblood. Rocky Point was a world away from Kingston's bustling music scene, yet it bore witness to the raw, elemental beginnings of a boy destined to shift the tectonic plates of reggae. Singing at local events, in tiny community gatherings, and amidst the harsh realities of rural life, he honed a sound that was as pure as it was powerful. His adolescence was not spent idly. Even before completing high school, Calvin Scott already understood that labor was companion he could neither deny nor despise. He worked as a fisherman, braving the unrelenting sea for a living, but the waves that called to him were not merely the Atlantics. They were the waves of sound and rhythm that would one day carry his voice across oceans. Yet, the life of a fisherman could never contain his spirit. The waters of Rocky Point whispered of another destiny. Calvin made his way to Kingston, a pilgrimage countless aspiring artists undertook. And like many before him, he arrived with little more than determination and an aching hope. The city's pulsating dancehall scenes were saturated with talent and ambition, but Cocoa Tea, soon to be his moniker, was no ordinary contender. Dressed in rags while other aspirants flaunted their best outfits, Cocoa Tea's humility stood in stark contrast to the flamboyance surrounding him. It was not his clothes that demanded attention, but the timbre of his voice, a voice that resonated with the soul of the island itself. At first, he struggled to be noticed. The gates of success were heavily guarded, and no one offered him an easy path. But fate smiled upon him when a sound system session changed everything. A night came when, finally, he was handed the microphone. The moment he sang, the atmosphere changed. There was no polite applause or reserved nodding. There was an eruption, an outpouring of energy from the crowd that was undeniable, electric, visceral. The promoters and attendees alike knew they were witnessing something rare and irreplaceable. From that instant, there was no turning back. Word of his talent spread like wildfire. It wasn't long before Henry Junjo Laws, a towering figure in reggae production, took notice. Under Junjo's guidance, Cocoa Tea's potential was unshackled. His first recordings bore the unmistakable imprint of greatness, and the world began to listen. While others chased trends, Cocoa Tea remained steadfast, anchoring his music in authenticity and a fierce loyalty to roots reggae and dancehall's evolving soundscape. His breakthrough track, Rockin' Dolly, was more than a hit. It was a proclamation. With its infectious rhythm and Cocoa Tea's silky yet commanding voice, it marked his arrival among the pantheon of reggae greats. But it was not merely the rhythm or the melodies that captivated audiences. It was his lyrical prowess. Cocoa Tea sang with the wisdom of a griot and the gentleness of a sage. He wove tales of love, of struggle, of righteousness, and of rebellion. He carried the legacy of Marley and Tosh not by imitation, but by offering his own unique, honeyed take on the truths that reggae had always sought to unveil. Even as dancehall surged into the mainstream with rougher, more aggressive tones, Cocoa Tea held a different line. His was a voice that called for unity, for peace, for spiritual awareness. Songs like Rikers Island showcased his keen social conscience. It was more than a catchy tune. It was a cautionary tale aimed at the Jamaican youth, a plea to avoid the pitfalls of street life that could lead to imprisonment in America's notorious Rikers Island. Ironically, the song's producer Junjo himself was incarcerated there, a bitter reminder of the realities Cocoa Tea sought to highlight and transcend. Yet, he was never a man content with resting on laurels. Cocoa Tea's evolution was a testament to his genius. He navigated the shifting sands of the music industry with a dancer's grace, never allowing himself to become a relic of a bygone era. As the 80s gave way to the 90s and the 90s to the millennium, He continued to release albums that were both commercially successful and critically acclaimed. Tune In, One Away Woman, Pirates, Anthem. The hits kept coming, and each bore the unmistakable imprint of a man in full command of his craft. It was not merely his voice that made Cocoa Tea a titan, but his presence. On stage, he was magnetic. His performances were not performances in the shallow sense. They were invocations, ceremonies of joy and reflection. He could set a crowd alight with a smile or bring them to contemplative silence with a single lyric. Across Europe, Africa, the Americas, and beyond, his name became synonymous with excellence. Beyond his own meteoric success, Cocoa Tea was a cultivator of talent. He opened doors for the next generation, mentoring and guiding young artists who would go on to make their own marks. In 2018, he famously introduced the world to a young Phenom Coffee, giving her a platform that would launch her into stardom. In this, he proved not only his generosity, but also his uncanny ability to recognize true artistry when he saw it. But even as he scaled the dizzying heights of fame, Cocoa Tea never abandoned his roots. His music remained a vessel for the messages of hope and resilience that had always defined him. He sang not for fame's fleeting embrace, but for the people, the downtrodden, the dreamers, the believers. As the years rolled on, his legend only grew. Awards and accolades poured in, but they were mere footnotes to a life defined by something far greater: the unwavering commitment to truth and beauty in music. Yet, life's cruel arc spares no one, and on the 28th of March, 2024, at the age of 65, Cocoa Tea passed from this world. The news rippled through the reggae community and beyond like a tremor of sorrow. Tributes poured in from every corner of the earth. For the global reggae fraternity, it was not merely the loss of a singer. It was a departure of a guardian, a beacon of integrity and artistry. Fans and fellow musicians alike mourned not just a man, but the example he had set, the dignity he brought to his craft, the love he infused into his work, and the sincerity with which he lived his life. The streets of Kingston, the fields of Clarendon, the concert halls of London, the festival grounds of Africa, all held echoes of his voice, lingering like a blessing. His songs, timeless and ageless, continued to play, each note a testament to the indelible mark he left upon the world. As mourners gathered, many spoke not only of his music, but his kindness, his humility, his unfailing generosity. In an industry often tainted by ego and greed, Cocoa Tea remained a man apart, guided by the same principles he had championed in his lyrics. He was a father, a mentor, a friend, and above all, a servant of the music he loved so dearly. To speak of Cocoa Tea is to speak of an era, a golden age when music was a vessel for revolution, for healing, for transcendence. His voice, that sweet, unmistakable voice, carries still across the waves, whispering to those willing to listen that there is always room for gentleness, for righteousness, for love. And so, in the quiet moments, when the world seems heavy and the burdens of life press down upon us, we can still hear him, singing, guiding, reminding us that though flesh fades and voices fall silent, the spirit endures. The soul of Cocoa Tea, cradled now in the eternal embrace of Jah, rests in a peace as profound and boundless as the music he gave the world. May the soul of Calvin George Scott, known and cherished across the earth as Cocoa Tea, rest forever in perfect, everlasting peace. What does Cocoa Tea's legacy mean to you? Which of his songs still speaks to your soul today? Do you think the world truly gave him the recognition he deserved? Let your thoughts be heard in the comments. And if stories like this move you, stories of resilience, rhythm, and revolution, subscribe and never miss what's coming next.